North Korea yet again sent trash-carrying balloons into the south on Wednesday, one of which landed in the presidential compound. The number of births went up for the second straight month in May, with the number of marriages also on an upward trend. Downpours continued overnight, resulting in a series of floods and road closures, particularly in Busan and Gangwon-do province. An extreme heat wave is likely to follow the rain. It's July 24th, 6 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. A balloon carrying trash sent by North Korea landed in South Korea's presidential compound earlier today. The top office says it understands the seriousness of this latest incident. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung stirs us off.
North Korea sent a 10th round of trash-carrying balloons to the south on Wednesday, and one of them landed within the compound of South Korea's presidential office. The Presidential Security Service said nothing dangerous was found after an investigation by its response team. But a presidential official said that the office is aware of the seriousness. The official added that the exact location of the balloon was tracked in real time before it dropped, and that it's monitoring the situation in cooperation with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The military has been refraining from shooting the balloons down in mid-air to prevent their contents from spreading and causing further damage. Since late May, North Korea sent more than 3,000 trash balloons to the south in protest against anti-Pyongyang leaflet campaigns by North Korean defectors in the south. And the provocations continue despite South Korea resuming full-scale propaganda loudspeaker broadcasts along the entire border for the fourth day in a row on Wednesday. The North appears to have begun blasting buzzing sounds through its loudspeakers as well to prevent North Korean soldiers and residents from hearing the South's propaganda broadcasts. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Defense Minister Shin Won-sik reiterated the military's firm readiness against any possible North Korean provocations, including potential attacks on places in the south where civic groups sent leaflets to the north. Our correspondent Kim Jong-sil reports.
South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik said the military was closely monitoring North Korea for signs of any possible attack, including gunfire, against places where South Korean civic groups sent leaflets to the north. In an interview with Japan's Yomiuri Shimbun, Minister Shin said the military would take immediate, strong, until-the-end action and vowed to retaliate against the North's provocations. His response followed escalating threats from Kim Yo-jong, the North Korean leader's sister, who hinted last week at taking a different approach if South Korean leaflets continued.
If North Korea engages in gunfire, it would essentially be like a wartime scenario. It would be considered an attack on South Korea territory, which, as the defense minister already mentioned, would lead to an immediate, strong counter-response from our side, followed by retaliation from the North.
It's evident these levels of confrontations must be avoided. However, if they do occur, it won't be the first time. In 2014, North Korea fired an anti-aircraft gun toward balloons sent by South Korean civic groups from the border county of Yeoncheon. The North also fired at loudspeakers in the same county in 2015.
What's different from 2015 and 2024 is that North Korea now has a working nuclear device. So they might be emboldened to take these kinds of actions. That's why we need to be very vigilant and be aware of all the possibilities that face us.
Experts also advise South Korean civic groups, mostly consisting of North Korean defectors, to avoid publicizing their plans and locations for sending leaflets to the north in advance, which some of them did in the past to get media attention. Experts say it's also important to let the North know that a significant number of ROK-U.S. forces are currently deployed to deter any misguided action. In hindsight, they urged both sides to be very careful not to get involved in unintended and accidental conflicts. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
One day after the People Power Party's national convention, President Yoon Suk-yeol has invited the newly elected ruling party's leadership for dinner this evening, as well as the other candidates who ran in the leadership election. An official at the top office said on Wednesday that dinner was proposed by President Yoon during his congratulatory phone call with Han Dong-hoon, the new chair. From the top office, senior secretaries and above are set to join. Earlier in the afternoon, the president's senior secretary for political affairs, Hong Chul-ho, visited Han on behalf of President Yoon at the National Assembly, where he reiterated the president's words on the administration and the ruling PPP becoming one team to carry out policies for the people. In other news, the number of births went up for the second straight month in May, with the number of marriages on an upward trend. Our Lee Soo-jin explains.
The number of births in South Korea rose on year for the second month in a row in May. Data from Statistics Korea Wednesday shows that there were 19,547 births, a 2.7% increase compared to the same month last year. This marks the first time since November 2015 that the country has seen on-year increases in the number of births for the second consecutive month. The agency mainly attributed the rise to a base effect from low birth rates the previous year, as well as an upward trend in the number of marriages from August 2022 to the first half of 2023. But the number of births itself remains relatively low, as the second lowest figure on record after dropping to the lowest ever for the month of May last year. The number of deaths dropped 1.2% on year but remained high at 28,546 due to the aging population, bringing the natural decline in population to nearly 9,000. The number of divorces dropped 5.6% on year to nearly 8,000, while there was an uptick in the number of marriages. The number of marriages rose, surging 21.6% on year, which an official from the agency said was the largest increase for the month of May on record.
By region, Daejeon saw the highest increase in the number of births, and this was most likely due to subsidies for married couples. But other regions across the nation, other than Daejeon City, also saw rises.
The agency said that while further observations are needed, as of now, it expects the nation to continue seeing increases in the number of births and marriages in the latter half of the year. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
On the tech front, American tech firm Nvidia has granted the green light for the use of Samsung's fourth-generation high-bandwidth memory chip, the HBM3, in its graphics processing units. Now, this is according to sources speaking to Reuters in an exclusive report that was published on Wednesday. Details have yet to be disclosed, but as of now, it has been revealed that the chips will be used in the H20, the graphics processing unit developed for the Chinese market, in line with Washington's export controls. In the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris held her first presidential campaign rally in Wisconsin, asking her crowd to choose between a country of freedom and a country of fear. Lee Sing-jae has more.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris earlier this week locked in her nomination support from Democrats, days after President Joe Biden dropped out of the running for a second term. On Tuesday, Harris took part in her first campaign rally in the battleground state of Wisconsin, where she criticized former President Donald Trump and asked voters to choose between freedom or chaos.
What kind of country do we want to live in? A country, and to your point, do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
Harris also cited her past career as an attorney general and a prosecutor, saying that she's dealt with perpetrators of all kinds before referring to Trump.
Before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected attorney general of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Actor George Clooney, who has been a longtime supporter of the Democratic Party, has expressed his support for Harris. In a statement to CNN on Tuesday, Clooney called Harris's bid for presidency historic, adding that Biden has shown what true leadership is by making the decision to drop out of the race to save democracy. Clooney, who has long been an influential figure among Democrat backers in Hollywood last week, expressed concerns over Biden's ability to lead the country for another 4 years. Riding on the wave of support, the U.S. vice president was seen leading against Trump in a recent poll. According to a poll conducted on Monday and Tuesday by Reuters, Harris leads Trump by 2%, having received 44% support from the survey participants. While other polls have shown two potential candidates neck and neck, this latest poll is the first to show Harris's lead over Trump. As Harris looks to continue to convince Americans that she could lead the country as the first female president, President Biden is set to address the nation on Wednesday. According to the president on X, his White House address will include plans on what lies ahead and how he plans to finish the remainder of his term. 이승재, Arirang News.
Seoul's top diplomat to Washington says close aides to former President Donald Trump have acknowledged the importance of the South Korea-U.S. alliance. According to Ambassador Cho Hyun-dong on Tuesday in Washington, D.C., officials at the Republican National Convention last week clarified that the America First campaign does not mean America alone and that the U.S. would continue to cooperate closely with its allies should the Trump administration regain the reins of the White House. Cho also claimed there was strong emphasis on the significance of Seoul's alliance with Washington. Torrential rain continued overnight, causing floods and road blockages. Meanwhile, high temperatures are likely to follow the rain due to the overlaps of anticyclones. Lee Si-woo explains.
Overnight, heavy downpours hit across South Korea. In the southeastern regions of Busan and Gyeongsang-namdo province, over 80 millimeters of rain per hour was recorded in certain areas. The total overnight rainfall in Busan stood at 171 millimeters, necessitating rescue efforts for those stuck in buildings that quickly flooded. Over 88 millimeters of rain per hour fell in the northern regions of Gangwon-do province. The region also had landslides and road blockages. In Chungcheongbuk-do province, a man was found dead after being lost in the flood. Meanwhile, the capital region saw heavy torrential rain from early morning. This led to the closure of certain parts of the Olympic Daedo, an 8-lane highway in central Seoul due to the rising water levels of the Hangang River. The road remained closed from 10 in the morning to around 1 in the afternoon. Jamsu Bridge, which crosses the river, was also closed to both cars and pedestrians. Seoul's Disaster Safety Measures headquarters asked residents to check the traffic situation ahead and use public transport if possible. Beginning at 10 in the morning, heat wave warnings began to be spread across the Korean peninsula, except for in selected mountainous regions of Gangwon and Jeju. The warning is given when the feels-like temperature of the day exceeds or is expected to exceed 33 degrees Celsius. It's expected South Korea will be under the warnings for some time. According to the Korea Meteorological Administration on Wednesday, this is caused by the overlap of a North Pacific anticyclone and a Tibetan anticyclone that locks up heat and does not allow it to escape. Lee Si-woo, Arirang News.
South Korean makeup products are enjoying record high levels of global popularity. According to data from the Ministry of SMEs and Startups on Wednesday, exports of domestic cosmetics from SMEs rose by 30.8% between January and June this year compared to last year. This is the highest export value on record for this period. The ministry has pledged to boost the cosmetics industry and aims to reach $10 billion in makeup exports from SMEs by 2027. It's also setting up a K-Beauty Creator Challenge, giving marketing and export strategy consulting. Last year, the K-pop industry achieved a milestone with overseas sales surpassing 1 trillion won or $700 million for the first time. The Korea Culture and Tourism Institute revealed on Wednesday that in 2023, overseas sales by the K-pop industry reached an all-time high with an approximately 34% increase from the previous year. Overseas performance revenue was the primary contributing factor, accounting for nearly half of total sales. The remainder were derived from exports of physical albums and international streaming services. South Korea is ranked joint third on the global passport power list this year, with visa-free travel to 191 countries for its holders. According to the Henley Passport Index 2024, put together by the London-based investment migration consultancy Henley and Partners released on Tuesday, South Korea ranks third along with Austria, Finland, the Republic of Ireland, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Sweden. The South Korean passport was third last year, but second the year before. Lacquerware is a decorative craftwork using shells on the surface of wood. Through a special exhibition held in Korea, visitors can come to enjoy the various artworks of the 3 East Asian countries. Our An Song-jin was there to check it out.
Every 2 years, the National Museum of Korea, the Tokyo National Museum of Japan, and the National Museum of China host special exhibitions to appreciate each other's cultures and promote friendship among the 3 neighboring countries. The exhibition takes place by rotating between the 3 host nations, and this year it's being held in Seoul. The theme of this year's exhibition is lacquerware. Here you can see nearly 50 pieces that show the difference in lacquerware across East Asia. Lacquerware displayed in the exhibition brings in pieces from the 14th to 19th centuries. All 3 nations have their own distinctive style.
It's easier to see it as 3 exhibitions that make one huge exhibition. Without being biased towards any one country, all 3 get to share their own lacquerware culture.
Korean lacquerware, known as chilgi, or more specifically najeon chilgi, is known for its mother-of-pearl style, from decorative pieces to household items and furniture.
Mother-of-pearl lacquerware is known all over the world, so I chose it as a piece that represents Korea. It's made with high-quality mother-of-pearl and thick pearl color shells, which add value to it.
It has shells and turtle shell embellishments on woodwork to create various floral patterns. Unlike Korea, which focused on mother-of-pearl lacquerware, Japan and China have worked on lacquerware techniques. Japanese makia lacquerware had its decorative technique where it added gold or silver powder onto lacquer designs, which gives it 3-dimensional patterns. China is centered on carved lacquerware, giving dimensions to flat wooden artwork and adding multiple colors through embossing and gluing.
I've taken Korean and East Asian history classes at school and wanted to see how lacquerware differs between the 3 countries. It's more than just black woodwork with shells, as I thought they would be.
The exhibition will run until September 22nd, allowing visitors to enjoy the elegant beauty of various lacquerware pieces. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
Moving on to the upcoming Paris Olympics, Korean swimmers are aiming high as their games begin this Saturday. Choi Soo-young has more.
The 2024 Paris Olympics will feature 35 events in swimming, the second most of the field athletics. Currently, South Korea is experiencing a renaissance in men's swimming, with stars such as Kim Woo-min and Hwang Sun-woo leading a golden generation aiming for their best ever performance in this Olympics. Kim Woo-min, a strong contender for the gold medal in the 400-meter freestyle, is one of the leaders. At the Tokyo Olympics, he only competed in the men's 800-meter freestyle relay with disappointing results. However, this time in Paris, he feels different. Kim is excited and looking forward to the competition with the major goal of breaking records as well as the gold medal. The men's 400-meter freestyle begins on the 27th. Another star, Hwang Sun-woo, will compete in 4 events: the men's 100-meter and 200-meter freestyle, the 400-meter individual medley, and the 800-meter freestyle relay. Hwang has won medals in the 200-meter freestyle at 3 consecutive World Championships. He is determined to perform well in the 200-meter race starting on the 28th.
In the 200-meter freestyle, I'm very close to winning a medal, and I'm really eager to win an Olympic medal in this event.
The team event, the 800-meter freestyle relay, is also a highlight. Team Korea finished 13th in the preliminaries in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. However, in the last year's Hangzhou Asian Games, led by Kim and Hwang, the golden generation set a new Asian record and won the gold medal. This has raised expectations for the team event, which includes 6 members: Lee Ho-jun, Kim Young-hyun, Lee Yoo-yeon, and Yang Jae-hoon, along with Kim and Hwang.
We're focusing a lot on the 800-meter freestyle relay. The 6 of us are working well together on strategies and race planning to show great performances and results in Paris.
In Paris, Team Korea is looking forward to strong swimming performances from the golden generation in this new era. Choi Sung-hyung, Arirang News.
There was a tropical night phenomenon last night with temperatures above 25 degrees Celsius. And today the heat did not cool down with temperatures exceeding 30 degrees across the country. Tomorrow you'll have to prepare for the Chungbok heat that will be worse than today. Daytime temperature in Seoul will soar to 33 degrees along with most parts of the country. Typhoon Kemi is expected to make landfall tomorrow in inland areas in China after passing Taiwan. It will not have a direct impact on Korea, but strong showers and severe heat are expected due to the steam brought by the typhoon. Tomorrow morning will start off at least 25 degrees all over the country. It will move up to 33 in Seoul and Chuncheon, Daegu and Gyeongju 35 degrees. There will be a lot of heavy showers everywhere for the rest of the week. A heat wave of around 33 degrees in Seoul will continue until the day after tomorrow. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.
Social media is all abuzz about plogging. Have you heard about this term? Plogging is a combination of the Swedish words meaning pick up and jogging. It's about picking up trash while jogging to make our planet and us healthy. The entire global community agrees on the seriousness of environmental issues. Originating in Sweden in 2016, plogging has drawn international attention as an eco-friendly campaign. The goal of plogging is to make both the Earth and its inhabitants healthy. It's also a perfect way to work out, as plogging offers the benefits of both cardio and muscle exercises. In fact, plogging helps burn more calories than jogging. Plogging does not require a lot of preparation. Just walk, run, and pick up. That's it. How about sharing the photos of you plogging on social media? If you want to protect the environment and stay fit at the same time, plogging may be the answer. For the sake of Earth, for our sake. One more step for a better future. The Earth and Environment Report.
Arirang TV is conducting a quality and satisfaction evaluation to enhance the broadcast service for viewers worldwide. Please visit our website www.arirang.com to provide your honest opinions. Participants will be entered into a draw for a chance to win prizes. Overseas TV viewer survey. We look forward to hearing from you.
I can control me, don't you 알고 있겠지. everyone. Welcome to Within the Frame. I'm Handan in Seoul. North Korea's trash balloon campaign has continued for the 10th time in less than 2 months, with dozens of balloons found across the capital region, including the presidential compound in Yongsan. South Korea, in response, blared up loudspeaker broadcasts in full scale for the first time in 6 years. This as global attention was shifted to a potential presidential race between former U.S. President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, a contest that could significantly impact the regional security dynamics surrounding the Korean peninsula. Mounting inter-Korean tensions and evolving security dynamics, that's the topic of our discussion today. And joining me now in the studio is Choi Hyun-jin, Associate Professor of Political Science at Kyunghee University. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me again.
For another perspective, we also have Evans Revere, former U.S. Acting Assistant Secretary of State, joining us virtually. It's always great to have you with us.
Great to be with you again.
All right, Dr. Revere, let's start off with you. North Korea resumed its trash balloon campaign yet again, sending balloons across the border to the south for the 10th time. The South Korean military responded with loudspeaker broadcasts. How would you assess the current level of inter-Korean tensions?
Well, inter-Korean tensions are high. I would add to that, though, that inter-Korean relations are currently non-existent, and those two things are interrelated. In the absence of any bilateral dialogue between Pyongyang and Seoul, and with North Korea having renounced cooperation and ended any real hope for North-South reconciliation, North and South Korea are now dealing with each other solely via propaganda, verbal threats, and trash warfare. That's unfortunate, but that's the reality we face right now. Meanwhile, Pyongyang continues to forge ahead with its nuclear development, its missile testing, artillery fire, and its very bombastic rhetoric. And this, of course, requires South Korea to remain vigilant, to strengthen security ties with the United States, and to keep its deterrent strong and keep its forces ready to deal with any contingency. Meanwhile, the loudspeaker broadcasts into North Korea seem to be reaching a lot of people, and the messages that the broadcasts carry about freedom, about South Korean cultural and economic achievements, and the horrific conditions under which the people of North Korea have to live, all those messages are very deeply resented by the Pyongyang regime. But right now it remains to be seen whether North Korea is going to choose to escalate its response to these broadcasts beyond words and beyond sending these trash-filled balloons. But Pyongyang clearly does not want the loudspeaker broadcast to continue. There is some potential, therefore, for Pyongyang to miscalculate, and we need to be ready for that.
North Korea is now building roads and walls and planting thousands more landmines inside the DMZ as well, reinforcing the already heavily fortified border. So, as you pointed out, it seems to be it's ending all hopes of a possible relationship between the two Koreas. Now, Professor Che, North Korea claims that South Korea's actually, before that, one of the trash-carrying balloons landed on South Korea's presidential compound, but nothing dangerous was found, according to the Presidential Security Service. How do you see this, and do you expect South Korea to ramp up its response?
A balloon is just floating with the wind, right? And also, thankfully, it was not carrying any dangerous material. So I think we don't need to be too sensitive that the balloon landed on the grounds of presidential office. But however, it is important to consider that the North Korea might someday send a balloon with a dangerous material, like radioactive substances or chemicals. So from this incident, we can see that it is technically possible for contaminated balloon to reach a critical location like presidential office in Yongsan. So right now, the balloons are harmless, but however, our military should always be ready for any emergencies in the future. So your second question, should we step up our response to these incidents? To answer this, it is important to note that South Korea does not want to escalate tension with North Korea. So instead, by turning on our loudspeaker in the DMZ, we are trying to make it costlier for North Korea to continue this provocation. So they will think twice before doing it again. So our approach is basically so-called tit for tat. So tit for tat in international politics means that we react based on North Korean actions. So that means we turn up our loudspeakers when they provoke us, and we turn them up when they stop. So I think this kind of approach helps us manage the situation without making things worse.
So we're yet to find out how the South Korean military will respond to the intrusion of the balloon, but you're saying that a tit-for-tat move will be safe for now because tensions are rising to dangerous levels. And staying with you, Professor Che, North Korea claims that South Korea's flying of anti-North Korea propaganda leaflets are to blame for the trash-filled balloons. Now, Defense Minister Shin Won-sik said that there is a possibility of North Korea shooting or shelling certain areas where the leaflets are launched, mostly by North Korean defectors. How do you gauge the possibility of North Korea actually forging ahead with an attack?
I don't want that scenario actually happens, but basically I agree with Defense Minister Shin Won-sik. So North Korea might shoot down balloons carrying leaflets or even target the places where those balloons are launched. And also, Defense Minister Shin also warned that North Korea might use other forms of aggression, such as landmine, drones, or GPS jamming, or cyber attack in response to the leaflets sent by South Korean civilian groups. So that's why I agree with Defense Minister Shin. So tensions on the Korean Peninsula are likely to rise further in the near future because loudspeakers are a very big deal for North Korea. So North Korea sees this as some kind of a psychological warfare. And for example, back on August 10 of 2015, about 9 years ago, South Korea turned on a loudspeaker in the DMZ because of a North Korean provocation using landmine in the DMZ area. So at the time, North Korea took this very seriously, calling it a declaration of war. And even they declared a quasi-state of war in the Korean Peninsula if South Korea didn't stop the broadcasts. So however, after intense negotiation, North Korea expressed regret for the landmine incident, and South Korea agreed to turn off the loudspeaker. But right now, the relationship between South Korea and North Korea are more strained than before. The situation of 1915. So I think there is a real chance that North Korea might react even more aggressively to the broadcasts, possibly viewing them as an act of a psychological war against North Korea. So our military should be prepared for a strong response, as history shows that North Korea takes this broadcast very seriously.
Right. As you pointed out, if there is anything that we've learned about North Korea in the past, it's that it's notoriously unpredictable and that one of its biggest fears is the loudspeaker broadcasts. Dr. Revere, former U.S. President Trump, during his Republican nomination acceptance speech, boasted his bromance with Kim Jong-un, saying Kim would miss him and that, quote unquote, it's nice to get along with somebody who has a lot of nuclear weapons. But Pyongyang's response was rather lukewarm, saying that it's a lingering desire on Trump's part and that Trump did not bring about any substantial positive change to Washington's hostile North Korea policy. What implications does this have for Pyongyang-Washington relations if Trump wins the election?
Well, I think Pyongyang's reaction to former President Trump's remarks was necessarily dismissive. The Pyongyang regime does not want to be perceived as being concerned about the outcome of the United States presidential election. But the fact is that North Korea is very interested in the election, and therefore Pyongyang was careful not to slam the door on Donald Trump. I think the regime is intrigued by the possibility of a second Trump presidency. Pyongyang may see some prospect that former President Trump's return could lead to the resumption of high-level dialogue with the United States, and that dialogue, at least in North Korea's mind, would help North Korea advance its agenda. The agenda is familiar. North Korea wants to drive a wedge between the United States and the Republic of Korea. North Korea wants to weaken the United States-ROK alliance and get the United States to acknowledge or accept North Korea as a permanent nuclear power, and also accept North Korea's ballistic missile development program, all of which would lay the foundation, in Pyongyang's mind at least, of laying that foundation for ultimate reunification of the peninsula on Pyongyang's terms. There is much in what Donald Trump has said and done, both during his presidency, at previous summits with North Korea, and in the current presidential campaign, that may give Pyongyang some hope that it can accomplish some, if not all, of these goals. So Pyongyang is watching this unfolding drama very, very carefully, and I think quietly hoping to have another shot at a conversation with Donald Trump during a second presidency.
North Korea said that it doesn't care about the outcome of the U.S. presidential election, but actually they're watching it very closely and they're very interested, and they may be perhaps wanting for former President Trump to return to the White House for a second shot. And staying with you, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is now the overwhelming frontrunner and is looking poised to replace President Biden as the Democratic Party's next nominee. And a lot of attention is now shifting to her stance towards North Korea. Do you expect similar policies to continue if she becomes president?
Well, Vice President Harris has indeed launched her campaign for the presidency, and she is virtually certain to be the Democratic Party's presidential nominee. She has spent her term as vice president supporting and promoting and implementing President Biden's policies on numerous issues, including a whole range of foreign policy priorities. So if there's one word that characterizes what we should expect from Vice President Harris in the presidential campaign, and if she wins in the White House, that word would be continuity, in my view. She'll want to put her own personal stamp on policies and priorities, of course, but I believe that the overall thrust and direction of her policies and her approach will resemble very much what we have witnessed over the past 3+ years. This includes the Biden administration's emphasis on strengthening alliances and building friendships and maintaining military readiness. I think that's very good news for South Korea, especially since the signals coming from the Trump camp suggest that he might continue the hostility that he has often demonstrated towards South Korea, and he might continue questioning the value of the U.S.-ROK alliance, which he has done. But also, as I've said and as I've written, any U.S. administration, whether it's led by Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, is going to need to avoid falling into the trap that North Korea has set that would give Pyongyang the acceptance that it seeks from the United States of its status as a permanent nuclear weapon state. To remind your viewers, even the Biden administration has occasionally hinted that it might engage North Korea in so-called arms control talks or similar dialogues that would effectively amount to such acceptance. I believe Seoul and Tokyo are vigorously opposed to that. So I trust that Vice President Harris is aware of this danger and will avoid it.
Vice President Harris had criticized Trump's conciliatory approach toward North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, arguing that Trump was not responding strongly enough to North Korea's nuclear threats. And when she visited South Korea 2 years ago, she strongly condemned North Korea's provocative nuclear rhetoric and ballistic missile launches during her trip to the DMZ. So she's expected to take a similar tough stance on North Korea. Professor Che, meanwhile, Russia's Vice Defense Minister Alexei Krivoruchko and Chief Prosecutor Igor Krasnov both visited Pyongyang recently. Their visit came after North Korea and Russia signed the new defense treaty. What do we know so far about the outcome of their visit, and what are you reading into their visits?
Right. So the Russian Vice Defense Minister and Chief Prosecutor's visit to Pyongyang are quite timely, especially since Russia and North Korea just signed a new defense treaty. So this suggests that both countries are looking to deepen their military and also strategic relationship. The first aspect is about military cooperation. The defense treaty between Russia and North Korea is likely focused on areas like even joint military training, shared military technology, and even arms sales, just as we saw North Korea provide weapons to Russia in its war against Ukraine. So this visit from this top military official likely means that they are moving forward on putting these plans into action. And the second area is legal cooperation. The chief prosecutor's trip might be about working together more on legal issues. They could be looking to tackle crimes such as digital and cyber crimes and also corruption together in a more effective way. So overall, the recent visit by Russian officials to Pyongyang shows that a deeper strategic and also military cooperation could impact the regional balance of power. And of course, this is not good news for South Korea.
Vice foreign ministers of South Korea and China met today in Seoul as the two countries revive efforts to resume high-level dialogue. Although not much has been revealed yet, what were the key agendas? And more importantly, what are your thoughts on China's position amid the perceived threats from growing North Korea-Russia military cooperation?
They had a meeting today, and maybe they are having dinner right now. So there's no clear announcement of the result of this meeting, but I will answer best using my best knowledge. Okay, so I think this meeting discussed various important topics, including our bilateral relationship with China and also the North Korean issue and other regional and international issues as well. And they also talk about the recent strengthening of security and the military ties between North Korea and also Russia. So I think South Korean government asked China to play a more positive role in dealing with the North Korean matters, especially North Korea is providing military some weapons to Russia, and so they are increasing this military cooperation. And also South Korea also urged China to protect North Korean defectors within its borders so that they are not sent back to North Korea. And also both parties are expected to agree to boost their economic partnership, focusing on keeping supply chain stable. And this meeting is one example of improving relationship between South Korea and China. The relationship between the two countries has been improved recently. For example, on May 14, South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol met with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in Beijing, and they discussed how to enhance their bilateral relationship. And it was the first visit by South Korean Foreign Minister to Beijing in over 6 years. So this event, a series of these events between the two countries shows that the growing relationship between Russia and North Korea might actually help improve our relationship with China in an unexpected way. As Russia and North Korea become closer, potentially forming a de facto military alliance, China faces a greater incentive to prevent any accident and also maintain stability in the Korean peninsula. And this incentive somehow make China to strengthen and also stabilize its relationship with the South Korean government.
Although we can't watch China's role with full optimism, but its role is crucial in dealing with North Korea issues. Dr. Revere, Unification Minister Kim Yong-ho met with U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell in Washington, D.C., where they shared concerns over North Korea's human rights situation and emphasized the importance of bilateral cooperation to prevent the forced repatriation of North Korean defectors. What is the significance of Kim's visit to the U.S., which marks the first by a South Korean unification minister in 5 years?
Well, the United States certainly understands the importance to South Korea of the issue of the forced repatriation of defectors. I think I can say with a high degree of confidence that Washington policymakers agree that defectors searching for freedom and an escape from the repression of North Korea should not be sent back to the DPRK. So Minister Kim's visit provided a very good opportunity for the United States to very strongly endorse South Korea's position on this matter, and also an opportunity to underscore that all members of the international community, including China, have an obligation to protect these people under international law. Both with Deputy Secretary Campbell and others, Minister Kim was also able to discuss South Korea's emphasis on human rights, the welfare of the North Korean people, and how to ensure that information gets through to the people of North Korea. Those were topics that were often overlooked in previous ROK administrations, but they're now on the table for discussion at high levels with U.S. officials and in the various think tanks and others with whom Minister Kim met in Washington, and that's a very good thing. It's a sign of progress.
And that's where we'll conclude our talks today, but we'll be keeping close tabs on the inter-Korean border as well as the dynamic race to the White House. Thank you, as always, Dr. Revere, for your insights.
Thank you.
And many thanks to you as well, Professor Che, for sharing your thoughts with us. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and be sure to tune in same time tomorrow to join our conversation. Goodbye for now.